Good evening, dear friends. Greetings to all of you watching on YouTube. Today, we will learn how to quickly relieve lower back pain. I ask that only those who are familiar with lower back pain and no longer intend to tolerate it keep watching. So, the next few minutes will be the last time in your life that you experience lower back pain. So remember it as it is now, and after some time you'll look back on it. But maybe there are even people who like pain, so you might even remember it with a bit of sadness. And someone else, on the contrary, is already tired of their lower back hurting. And finally they'll say, there, finally the pain is gone. What are we going to do now? First, you need to know your enemy in order to fight it. So in this case, you will be interested in several muscles. The first is the iliopsoas muscle. It stretches its fibers from all the lumbar vertebrae and the inner side of the iliac bone. This is its iliac bone, joining together as if two separate muscles, and they insert into one muscle. Can you imagine how fascinating human anatomy is? Everyone finds it interesting, except for first and second year medical students. Of course, it's interesting to you the first time you see it. And then it attaches to the femur with its tendon right here. What does it do? It stabilizes the entire lower back. If even one stops working, you'll feel pain when you bend, twist, or make any movement. It can provoke pain. Large nerves run through it, and when they are compressed, they can cause pain not only in the lower back, but also in the leg. Sometimes the pain can even be on the front of the thigh when the femoral nerve is compressed here. What else does it do? It limits the mobility of the pelvis while walking. If it doesn't stretch well, the leg starts to move together with the pelvis. These joints between the vertebrae get overloaded, and that leads to arthrosis. Since some of the fibers of this muscle are even attached to the intervertebral disc, tension, or on the contrary, weakness of this muscle, excessive tension in some fibers and insufficient development in others can provoke, among other things, injury to the intervertebral disc and contribute to the development of protrusions and disc herniations. So, this is also either prevention or acceleration of recovery after, for example, an intervertebral disc injury. That's what we're going to do now. Lumbar stabilization plays a big role. With different tone and strength development of the iliopsoas muscle, scoliosis can form in the lumbar spine. It affects the mobility of the hip joint and changes the position of the pelvis. When it is poorly developed, the oblique abdominal muscles start to overcompensate during movement and while you walk, instead of moving freely in the hip joint during walking. It starts to move together with the pelvis like this. And after you've walked and stand up, you notice that one side of your pelvis is forward and the other is back. And on the side where it's forward, and the iliopsoas muscle wasn't working as well during the step. The second muscle that interests us today is the Quadratus lumborum muscle. It is located between your 12th rib. This is the rib from which Eve was made. That's where the first woman on the planet was formed, as we all remember very well. So this rib, was it the right or the left one? If anyone remembers, please let us know in the comments. And some of the fibers no longer touch the 12th rib from the transverse processes. Oh wait, they do touch the rib again, see? And some of the fibers from the iliac bone go over here. The fibers run in different directions like a web. And this allows the muscle to participate in various movements, in rotations, in movements and in bends. But when it spasms, it immediately restricts the mobility of this lower rib. Also, in cases when this spasm is quite strong and is accompanied by tension in the external internal or both oblique abdominal muscles, mobility is restricted. If this happens on one side of the lower ribs, we will see an asymmetrical shape of the rib cage. And such a person lies on their back like this, looks down at themselves and sees that their ribs on one side are slightly raised like this, while on the other side they are like this. When they inhale, the rib cage on one side moves like this as they breathe in, but on the other side, where there is this spasm, when they inhale, it moves like this. So the shape of the rib cage changes just to be able to breathe at all. So, friends, these two muscles, and also, well, there's the quadratus lumborum muscle, which tends to shorten and, as a rule, is prone to overloading. In order to relieve the load from it, we need to focus on the muscle that's located right here, the one that almost everyone, including you and me, has forgotten about. This is the gluteus medius muscle. It covers this entire lateral surface and plays a major role in the development of hip osteoarthritis. 100% of people who have hip osteoarthritis also have weakness in the gluteus medius muscle. But right now, we're interested in it in terms of its effect on the lower back. How does it affect it? Let me show you. Look during movement, while walking, or even just when you lift one leg and stand on the other. At this moment, as I'm standing on my left leg, my gluteus medius muscle and the quadratus lumborum muscle on the opposite side should be working. Here is the gluteus medius and here is the quadratus lumborum. And along with it, the external and internal obliques are also working here. But let's not complicate things for now. Let's just say that only the quadratus lumborum is working. And if my gluteus medius is poorly developed, if it starts to get tired during prolonged movement, then the load will shift to the quadratus lumborum because it's usually better developed than the gluteus medius. It starts to get tired later during prolonged walking, for example. And if everything is fine, then when I step onto that leg while walking, my pelvis, you see, it maintains its original, well, I wanted to say pristine, but that's not quite the right word. Well, no, it's physiological, probably not form, but position. That is, these two bony landmarks, the anterior superior iliac spines, are more or less in this kind of symmetrical position because these two muscles, here they are, have engaged and are working well. It allows the iliopsoas muscle, the gluteus maximus muscle on the supporting leg, and also the quadriceps to work well later during movement. But if my gluteus medius muscle gets tired, then when I step onto that leg, my pelvis starts to shift a little bit this way, and the quadratus lumborum muscle starts to tense up excessively. So, in order to reduce tension in the lower back, we can strengthen the gluteus medius muscle. That's what we're going to do right now. So, friends, the first step for those who are weak, in pain, or not sure if you can handle a heavy load, or if you haven't tried training your iliopsoas muscle before, here's the first and simplest exercise. Lie on your back. Bring your legs together, feet close to each other. And from this position, lift your leg up, well, no more than about 45 degrees off the floor. Lift it up, lower it down. If it's hard or if you feel any discomfort or pain in your lower back, you can lower it all the way down. If you want to make it a bit more challenging, then don't lower your leg all the way down. Do 10 repetitions in this position. You don't need to lift it any higher. The maximum load on this muscle happens at about this height when you lift it. On both sides, If you feel a difference in muscle strength, that one side gets tired faster and the other side gets tired more slowly, do the same total number of repetitions. For example, if you did it 10 times in a row with your right leg and 2 sets of 10 with a break with rest using your left leg, and do several sets like this, you can do 3 or 4 sets on each side. This is the first position. In this position, the inner part of the iliopsoas muscle, the one closer to the spine, is working. Besides that, of course, the thigh is also working. You might even feel more tension in it, but the main load here is still handled by the iliopsoas muscle. Still, it's impossible to train it without involving the thigh. If you turn your leg outward a bit, like this, with your foot in this position, or the iliopsoas muscle will work at a slightly different angle, but together with the adductor muscles. Still, it's better to train it together with the front surface of the thigh, since that's how they will work in real life. Next, the second position, you place your legs a little wider apart, about shoulder width apart. And from this position, you also start lifting your leg in the same way, on one side and on the other side. Now the outer part of the iliopsoas muscle is working, and even more of the load is transferred to the iliacus muscle. In short, it's just another part of the same muscle. If during the exercise you notice that when you lift your leg, your pelvis rises a lot on the other side. This is the iliac spine, and you notice that your center of gravity shifts a lot to the other side. You can put a pillow under this buttock while lifting your leg, or you can place your hand like this. But it's better to use a small pillow. If you put it like this, your pelvis will be more even. The center of gravity won't shift. Next. The next step to increase the load is to use a resistance band. If we hook the band closer to the foot on the shin, let's lie down and do the same thing. Of course, it depends on how stiff it is. Choose a load so that nothing is too strained. There will be a bit more load here. Moving the band higher reduces its resistance. I'll show you now. If you spread your legs wider, it's the same thing again. The outer part of the muscle starts working, and also because there's a bit of pressure from the side, there's an extra load on the front part of the gluteus medius muscle. But that's not bad either, it's also useful. And in this position, also choose the number of repetitions. As soon as the muscle starts to get tired, if you haven't trained it before, stop. And do 3 to 4 sets of 5 to 10 repetitions. If we attach the resistance band just above the knee, and we start doing the same movement, here too we'll have more resistance. That means it will be harder to lift than just your leg without the band, but at the same time it will be easier than if the band was lower. So in this position you can also choose a level that's right for your fitness level. The number of repetitions, sets, also with a narrow stance, with a wide stance, and the most difficult option for those who can easily do the previous 2 methods with the band and without the band. Just like this. You place one leg on top of the other, like this, to add weight and resistance. And we start lifting the lower leg. The upper one just rests here. It also creates extra resistance for you. And this is how you lift it. This is for those whose back doesn't hurt anymore, so it won't start hurting again. Here too, you choose the number of repetitions and sets. This is already a serious load. This is basically candidate master level when it comes to back degeneration. That's how it's done. Step by step. You can build your lower back muscle up to the point where you won't be embarrassed to show it off, to see and be seen. So friends, in order to take the excess load off the lower back and transfer it to the abdomen. For this, take a pillow, any pillow you sleep on, but keep in mind you'll need to put it under your buttocks. So take your husband's pillow or your wife's. Don't ruin your own. Because you'll need it to put under your head, you put the pillow under your gluteal muscles, just like this, so that your lower back stops touching the surface, you see, the ground. Or if you're doing it on a bed or a couch, on the floor, so that it lifts up for you. And now, muscle effort and willpower. You're trying. Here is your lower back area, specifically the area of the fifth lumbar vertebra. That's where your sacrum connects to your lower back. Try to bring that area down and press it to the floor. At the same time, your abdominal muscles start to tense up. Here you will need to adjust the position of your legs, like this, so that you can bring your lower back down to the floor. See? E, and press it down. If your abs aren't tensing up while doing this, E, it means it's too easy. Straighten your legs a little and try to do the same thing with your legs straight. If you can reach with your legs straight and your abs are tensing up, leave it like that. Do it this way. If it doesn't work, then bend your legs and find a position for your legs. Move them a little farther or a little closer to yourself, so that when you get your lower back to the floor, your abs are tensing up. That's your rectus abdominis, where the six-pack is. Some people have them, the ones you see on TV in movies, those six-packs. That's the area that should be tensing up. And you press your lower back down. Hold this position for about 3 seconds. Relax, raise it again. Tighten your abdominal muscles again. Press your lower back down. Hold for 3 seconds. Raise it. But the position of your legs, you should generally aim to eventually learn to do this movement with straight legs. So you put them down like this. Hold it. Hold for a few seconds, then relax. Do 2 sets, 10 repetitions each. And on the third set, after you've rested for about 10 seconds between them, put your lower back down, press it as much as possible, and hold this position. And you lie there for about 20 seconds with your abdominal muscles tense. Here's what's happening to you. The quadratus lumborum muscle relaxes, and you need to breathe at this moment. And what's happening is improved mobility of the lower ribs, the 12th and 11th ribs. And the quadratus lumborum relaxes as you inhale and exhale. That's the exercise. Take a look. So, friends, it's finally time for the long-awaited gluteus medius muscle. We train it to relieve this entire side, the whole lateral area here. Muscle. You're overstrained. That's why. What are we doing? Let's lie on our side. Let's lie down. And in this position, this bottom leg is bent so that it's easier for us to keep our balance. And in this position, you start to lift your leg. Do the movement slowly, not quickly, because if you do it quickly using momentum, it will seem like the leg is lifting easily. But actually, the movement can happen due to momentum. That's why it's better to do it slowly. You might even end up doing fewer repetitions. But in return, you will actually help the muscle recover faster. In this exercise, you can use different leg positions. For example, move your leg forward. One part of the muscle will work in line with your body. The middle part will work. A little bit back. Move it here. From this position, lift up. This will work the front part of the gluteus medius muscle. And in each of the positions, you can also do 2 or 3 sets from 5 to 10 repetitions, depending on your physical condition, development. So friends, I see in the comments that many of you are already writing about how much your lower back pain has decreased. If you haven't written it yet, please do so as well. Don't be shy, please indicate it as a percentage. For example, it used to hurt 100%. only 3% of the pain remains, or maybe 0.50 or even 150. This way. So we'll understand this exercise, does it really work or not? Did they help anyone at all or not? But you get the idea, right? What to do and how? So, friends, don't be shy. Exercise. Help your parents. Leave a comment if you were here. See you next time.